Hello everyone. So today I wanted to tell you a story from the Bible, but I thought before I do that, I thought we could play a game. So I have got a bowl of water here, and I've also got some different objects that I'm going to put into the water, and we're going to see if they float or if they sink. So first I've got a wooden block from Jenga, and we're going to vote to see if you think it will float or if it will sink. So wherever you are, if you're at church or you're at home, put your hand up now if you think this wooden block will float. Hands up if you think it's going to float. And hands up if you think it will sink. So I'm going to put it in and we're going to see what happens. So well done, it is floating. So well done if you thought it would float. And next I've got a metal teaspoon, and hands up if you think this will float. And hands up if you think it will sink. So I'm just going to put it in the water and see what happens. Yeah, it has sunk. And next I've got some tin foil. Hands up if you think this will float. And hands up if you think it will sink. I'm going to put it in the water and see what happens. Yeah, it's floating. And lastly, I've got another piece of foil. It's the same as the first piece, but this time I'm going to scrunch it up into a ball, and hands up if you think it will still float, and hands up if you think it will sink. So I'm just going to put it in the water and see what happens. So it is still floating, so well done if you thought that. Do you remember the story in the Bible when Jesus fed more than 5,000 people with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? Now after this happened, Jesus told his disciples to get into their boat and to go to the other side of the lake while he went up into the mountains to pray. Now while the disciples were going to the other side of the lake in their boat, the wind was getting stronger and the waves began to get rough, and the disciples became afraid that their boat would sink. And then they looked and they saw Jesus was coming towards them, and he was walking on the water. Now when Peter saw Jesus, he became excited, and he said to him, "Lord, if that is really you, let me walk to you on the water." And Jesus answered Peter, and he said, "Come." Now Peter climbed over the side of the boat and he started walking on the water to Jesus. Then he began to look around. He felt the strong winds and he saw the waves, and he became afraid and he started to sink. He cried out to Jesus, "Help, save me." And Jesus reached out his hand to Peter and he said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" Now as long as Peter had kept his eyes on Jesus, he would have been walking on the water. But when he took his eyes off Jesus, he started to sink. Now in our lives we will face challenges, we'll face difficult times. And if we keep our eyes on Jesus and we put our trust in him, then we will be okay. But if we take our eyes off of Jesus and we put our confidence in our own ability, then we will sink. So let's remember to keep our eyes on Jesus and to put our trust in him. So let me pray as we finish. Dear Lord Jesus, when we face challenging and difficult times in our lives, I pray that you will help us to keep our eyes on you and to put our trust in you. Amen.